get to see this is where the people are. This is where the money goes. Public safety is our primary portion. Now, in order to get to the 2010 budget, which this models, the council received my preliminary budget, the proposed budget. It is not good, it is ugly, it is nasty, something you never in your wildest dreams hope you have to deal with that they're dealing with right now. My big top 3 proposals. They'll have to decide what they want to do ultimately. They don't have a lot of good choices. Whoa, that's amazing. Top 3, eliminating Mountain Metro bus rides. We've done hundreds of thousands of cuts already in Metro. Now the bus system is going to go down another notch, and we can only keep that for part of 2010, and then it goes away. Everything goes away except for a small piece, which PPRTA funds directly, which means that our frequency on weekends is going away. We're stopping additional routes. We always hear, oh my goodness, there's nobody riding the bus anyway. It's like, well, where you see them not riding the bus happens to be where the bus starts out and it's empty because it goes and picks people up. And at the end of the line, guess what? It's beyond capacity. The second one of the cuts is going to be closing cultural and recreation facilities and reducing services with those that remain. There are about 13 parks that would remain under that scenario. We're putting aside enough money to be able to mothball all those facilities. Some of them we will be able to keep open, such as Memorial Park, Regional Park. That's about it. So we have at least 111 community neighborhood parks that cannot be funded any longer. The following big 3, eliminating police and fire. What we will be doing is we have about 72 positions overall in police that we're recommending be cut and about 34 in fire. Totally, 243 new positions will be removed from the budget on top of the 200 we've already moved, on top of the 235 people that walked out of the organization when we started talking about salary cuts, benefit cuts, and no ability to keep our city going. Finally, budget schedule, the big time you'll want to watch. Council is going to be receiving the second piece of this budget data today. Then October 22nd, they will be having a public hearing, e-town hall meeting, and then they will start their markup process for the budget on October 28th. They will have to approve the budget in order to meet their timeline by the second meeting in November, which is the 24th, and December 8th. They will actually do the final approval, and the last day for my retirements, which we've done a voluntary incentive retirement program where 89 people have agreed to walk out the door. They will walk out the door, their last day being officially Christmas Day. I don't know how it worked that way, it just did. And then finally, January 1st, all of the rest who are identified will go. So with that, I'm going to give it back to our moderator. Thank you.
We allowed those to go on a little longer because we thought they were quite interesting, and we wanted them to finish their concepts because it might answer some of your questions up front. So if you would please, we have a roving mic. Janet Southers has the roving mic. If you will raise your hand if you have a question, state your name when you answer your question, and hang on, and I will, Jane's calling up. Yeah, I'm gonna, and I will be calling on you to answer your question, to have your questions answered. So if you just state your name and your question, go ahead. Jane.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. My name is Jane Young. My question is, I know this is very complicated, but to help us better communicate to other people, can you recap what does a typical citizen pay in taxes total to the city, and then what do they, in essence, what all does the city provide to them, you know, in aggregate? You know, what are the different services that the city provides to that citizen, so we have a better feel for just how much we are getting for our dollar?
Hopefully. That's a great question, Jane. And it just so happens that it's about 77 cents a day that we roughly estimate a citizen pays. We do have some statistics in this cute little book that we left for you. What that shows us, if we take, it's different in every taxing district within the city because of the issues that Dr. Zwirlein talked about a little bit earlier. But we figured an average using a home in District 11 that you actually pay the city of about $103 in your property tax, that you pay your sales tax about $343 a year. So that aggregate there is 100% of what you would pay for your city services. That will include readiness for a police officer, firefighter, anytime you need it, for your ambulance ride, although you will supplement that with your bill when you get that later from the ambulance company. You have your zoning rights. You have your right to call for code inspection if your neighbor's having problems, or if you're renting a unit. You have your streets plowed. You have your streets repaired, those types of services. And we do have a budget calculator online that you can go on to springsgov.com and enter in a little game where you say, what did you do on the way to work this morning? Did you use the street? Did you use a sidewalk? Did you walk in a crosswalk? Those types of things, and it will tell you that any one of those things that you do uses your whole entitlement for the year.
Thank you. Next question. Back in the back.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. My name's Richard Farley. I've got a quick question, and why is there not more consideration given to a metropolitan form of government similar to Mecklenburg County, Charlotte, North Carolina? I find it hard to believe that integration of public safety, sheriff, police department, roads, county, city, and parks, county, city, couldn't increase efficiencies. Why hasn't that been delved into more, and is it simply a matter of whose ox is going to be gored?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Richard. I think that is an excellent question, and I don't think you have to go out of state to look at that, because Denver City Council is a combined city council. So there are examples of it in the state. And I think that, you know, from the perspective of the Sustainable Funding Committee, we did look at that, and we think that that is something that we should investigate and figure out how we might share services a lot more efficiently. Obviously, I think one of the issues in El Paso County that maybe is different than Denver County and City is that El Paso County has a much larger rural area. And you know, we might have to ask whether the people living in the rural area want to combine with the city. You know, they might have moved out there simply because they enjoy, you know, the rural environment. They probably pay lower taxes, and there might be a lot of reasons why it's not such a great idea.
Next question. A question down here.
Hi, I'm Dutch Schultz, UCCS graduate MBA program. It seems like one of the items that we don't see on this, if you spread it across, is the employee compensation. And the economic downturns is feedback to the city that your citizens have less money. That's why they're spending. One of the reasons, the major reason, you're getting less use tax. They have less money. And it would seem to me like the obvious place to cut is compensation. And one of your items that went up significantly was your contribution to the retirement program. I have to assume from that, as the way you describe the problem, that you have a defined benefit program as opposed to a defined contribution program. And so in order to maintain the benefits, that forces you to put more money in. That needs to change. We know the state para has the same problem. You can't operate the same way. You've got to change that. Defined benefit programs are been dropped by businesses every place except when they're unionized. And I don't see any place where you're talking about changing compensation.
So what's your question, Mr. Schultz?
Why not?